All right, hello everyone, and welcome now to episode number 36 of Verdicts of the Ancient Kings, Verdicts review of Verdicts and more. So if you guys didn't know, they actually came out with a new keyword in the upcoming next set that is Verdict. A lot of things to talk about. I've had the chance to play a lot of these mechanics, so I'm hoping that my I guess partner on the internet, Nico, will be able to ask me some questions that I don't think of and still be able to answer. Nico, how are you doing today?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm a little tired. I did get back from the mountains this past weekend, and it was really strange. It was like a low of like 42 degrees on the first night, and then it was a high of 95 the next day, and then it was like 102 the next day after that. So it was like this
a lot of fluctuation.
Yeah, a wide range. I went from like, oh my gosh, I didn't pack enough clothes to maybe I packed too many all at the same time. So let's go ahead and review what we're going to be talking about. The new keywords. We will be spoiling the spoiled and rotten. You'll figure out what that means a little bit later. And then we'll also be looking at the new cards. Now, first thing I want to say is for everyone who actually watched the end of our last video, we actually had a contest to say, just leave a comment in the video and you have a chance to win something. I didn't quite decide what that was, and we only had 2 people leave a comment on that video. So Largashber, congratulations, you win something. It's most likely going to be the Cloud King sleeves. If you already have them, message me, let me know you already have them, and I will send you something else to redeem, and hopefully you can enjoy it. So if you guys, like, just to prove that you watched the video, give me the 7th digit in pi as just as a comment. Just include the number and then say whatever you want, and then that way I know that you guys are actually watching these videos and you guys are enjoying it. Otherwise, I just get to talk to Nico and we don't have to be streaming all of this anyways.
True.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the new keywords. The new keywords that we're going to be going over, the first is Verdict. And if you guys actually tuned into the show last week, I had actually kind of teased this one particular keyword where there's RNG. I had said there's RNG, but it isn't up to you. And this was the keyword that I was referring to. So when your opponent verdicts, you either choose a light or a dark verdict that happens. The light abilities are on the left, so your opposing champion either draws a card, summons a phantom, summons a daybreak. Your opponent's troops get +1/+1, or gets a random card from the crypt. The dark side is discard a card, sacrifice a troop. That's not trope. Yeah. Opponent summons a
and
knight.
it's sacrifice.
Yeah, like I was typing this up really fast, and apparently XSplit doesn't have like spell check, so you know, like yes, I'm not a good speller.
I need spell check too. Don't feel bad.
Yes, spell check on OBS and Twitch. That's what they'd be installing next. Your troops get -1/-1, or sack an artifact or constant. What do you think about Verdict?
It seems pretty cool. I don't think the RNG is unhealthy. It seems like a pretty fun way to do the RNG. You're taking a risk either way. I'd probably be obliged to go for the dark verdict if it's early on in the game. If it's late in the game and I have like one card in my hand that I need, then I'm gonna be like, I don't know if I want to take that gamble.
Okay, so let me explain this. So let's look at the keywords again. So this is what happens. Your opponent verdicts, and you have a choice. It flips a coin, and it says you can either give all of your opponent's troops +1/+1, or you sacrifice a troop.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay,
yeah, totally get it.
So
that's a perspective I was talking about it in. So, like I was thinking, like if my opponent casts it and I have one card in my hand, I'd probably choose light, so that he would draw a card or something else. Like I don't lose my card in my hand potentially. Right? That's how it works, right?
No, it's so The system chooses one light and
Oh,
one
the
dark.
system will choose one of each.
Yeah, the system chooses one of each
Ah,
for you. So,
got it.
and the system will only choose one if it's relevant. So, if your opponent doesn't have any cards in their crypt, it will not give you get a random card from their crypt. Right? You will not
Oh,
be able to choose that. If you have no troops in play, you do not get to choose my troops get -1/-1.
got it.
Right? If you don't have a constant, if you don't have an artifact, that will if you have no cards in your hand, it's not going to give you the choice discard a card.
Got it. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. I guess I've been really busy today and I didn't even have an opportunity to look at the keywords prior to our show. So this is all kind of new to me, but that is quite interesting. I like the way that they did this mechanic. I'm still going to have to play with it to like fully understand it, but yeah, I'm reading it on the other screen. That's why you see my head sideways, but yeah, it's pretty cool. I like that Nightfall and Daybreaker incorporated in this way as well.
Yeah, the Nightfall and Daybreak are a little bit played more thematically because the card that it's coming on, it's supposed to be like Horgath playing with the balance of the universe, right? Where he has the scales, Daybreak, Nightfall, and he's doing all of this crazy magic just to break Frostheart and become free of Frostheart's influence. So that's why that's all in there. 90% of the time, like there's an obvious choice that you don't want. Like your opponent has 7 troops on the board and you have 1, and you're like, do I want to give -1 and -1 to mine or +1/+1 to theirs, or something to that effect. Like so it's in those rare situations where you're like your main troop is an artifact and it's your only artifact in play, or your opponent gets like +1/+1 on all 4 of their troops, and you're sitting there thinking for a long time. So you usually have an easy way out, but sometimes it's like getting stuck between a rock and a hard place, and you have to choose one. And I think I like that tension where all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's RNG, but I get to choose it for my opponent.
Yeah, I think people will have fun playing with this, and the people that don't probably will not feel guilty about not drafting it or not including it in their decks, where they can just have other solid cards and keywords that they're playing instead.
Yeah, I do think it's most likely going to be more of a what was I thinking? More of a draft mechanic. I don't know if it's going to make its way into constructed, just because. Well, we'll have to see what cards actually get printed. I know some of the cards that I saw, they were changed significantly. So we'll have to see definitely how it goes. But those are some of the new keywords right there. Example of Verdict is in the Halls of Twilight. When you play a resource, Verdict. I like this particular card. What I wanted to see Hex get away from was the constants that hit the board, and then you either deal with it or you lose. And I'm thinking the main culprit is Twilight Eclipse, where at the start of every single turn, regardless of what you do, it feels like there's an 8-point health swing, and there's nothing you can do about it. I almost wish Twilight Eclipse says when you play a resource, gain 1 life for every, deal 1 point of damage, as opposed to at the start of every turn. It seems a little bit more controlled at that point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is a pretty neat little constant too, because we're able to utilize it pretty much every turn we have a resource. So there's a lot of ways to interact with this, with other cards, other constants that trigger off a sources being played. So this could be pretty fun to play in like a Diamond Wild themed deck. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm not quite sure this is going to make its way into constructed, just because of the RNG element, where a lot of constructed decks and players prefer to have a guaranteed play path and no RNG associated to whether or not they're going to win or lose.
Yeah, maybe in a Twilight, or Radiant Physician deck where you need that third different type of constant to push you over the edge. But I think at most it will be tier 1.5. I don't know. Someone may be able to manipulate the verdicts by controlling the situation and then going, I know it's going to be a certain dark and I know it's going to be a certain light, and then that way something good's going to happen for me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Moving right along, we have Portal. Portal was the mechanic that I alluded to last week that was most like Conscript in my mind. But where Conscripting was, hey, you get some sort of 3-cost card, anywhere from common to legendary. Prince Akaz off of Windborn Ascension, I'm looking at you. Portal limits you on the rarity of the card. And by limiting you on the rarity of the card, you kind of... It's actually... Like, I think the developers could actually balance that card a little bit more, right? Like, it feels strange when you Windborn Ascension and you get, like, Prince Akaz versus some sort of standard, 2/2 or 3/2 troop. You're like, I'm sorry, I conscripted Prince Akaz. I win the game unless you have an answer right now.
Yeah, this sounds like it could be real hit or miss because, it doesn't limit its cost. So what if you get an uncommon portal, or maybe I'm not reading on into this all the way. Is a portal always going to be the same cost?
So uncommon portal says it creates an uncommon card that also has the keyword portal. At the start of your turn, all of your portal cards turn into another portal card of the same rarity. So if you get like a 9-cost uncommon card, you're like, I can't play it this turn. The very next turn, you could get a 3-cost uncommon card, or you could get a 7-cost uncommon card. It's like the Savaz, like there was that the card that could change into one of 2 other cards at the start of every turn.
Brilliant, or Savaz Invocation or something like that. Yeah,
Savaz Invocation. It could change into one of the other 2. It's just like that, except for it has the portal keyword.
Okay, got it. So I'm at the same time as the show, and I apologize that you're educating me while we're going through this. But yeah, that I'm reading in on it right now. So that is pretty awesome, actually. Well, I like that mechanic.
And this is something that probably would only come up because I played it and I could answer this question. If it's an uncommon portal troop, when you revert it, it turns into an uncommon portal, which has nothing.
Oh, okay. So what card type is an uncommon portal? Is it a constant or is it like an action?
It's a made card, kind of like a spider. Like, I think I didn't look at it carefully enough. I think it looks like a spider egg. Like, it doesn't have like any of the keywords or any of that. It just...
So would it fall off the board?
It immediately falls off the board.
Ah, okay.
Right, like kind of like
that makes reversion more important. That's cool.
Exactly. So in those times when people reverted a runic action to remove it, like, oh, you don't want your opponent to get that runic strike or that runic missile because you had some 1-cost or 1 health troop, or you were that close from lethal damage. You can also do that to portals in general.
Okay, so the one cost flying diamond troop that has reversion and the Storm Rider 3-cost diamond troop are going to be higher picks in the third pack of draft.
Well, not the 3-cost one, because that one isn't in set 7, set 8, unless you're talking about like 3 months from now when you were doing Kismet.
No, drafts. Storm Rider is set 7, isn't it?
Is Storm Rider? I thought Storm Rider was like set 6.
Oh, maybe I've been drafting Kismet drafts so much that I completely forgot what set it was in. Sorry. Yeah. It's a Kismet draft after effect.
Oh, no, I cannot blame you. I think... I don't know how many times I drafted Pure Set 7, maybe just to use my weekly draft ticket, but Kismet Draft is significantly more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Set 7 was like maybe like a C+, a solid C. Kismet Draft is like a B+, A-, like in terms of how much fun and how many different archetypes there were to actually play and enjoy. So yeah, there's Portal for you. Bleeding Heart, it will definitely give you card advantage. It's essentially guaranteeing that you will be drawing an additional card every turn, or getting a new card that you can play in some way, shape, or form every turn.
Yeah, I mean, it really sounds like the downside of this card is that, if you already have the portal effect in your hand, you're not going to get another one. So it'll really depend on that created card's cost, whether or not you're getting extra value out of this every turn.
Yeah, like whether or not you can play it. One thing I will add on, it sucks when it creates a runic card. For the reason I explained.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want it to revert and then just fall off again.
Right.
It doesn't replay the portal and then you get another card, right? Because that card is just the spiderling egg type of card.
Exactly. So these are all things that, like, because I play, I know, but I can also say as a rules expert in a situation, like, these are all things that you should be thinking about. So hopefully I'm not breaking any NDA things. I'm just bringing up the concept, and it's good to think about. All right, moving right along, we move to momentum. Momentum basically says when you play a resource, this troop gets plus whatever the momentum number is until the end of your next turn, and it increases the momentum number by 1.
Ooh, okay, that's pretty neat. So you play this on 2. On turn 3, you play a resource. It's a 2/2.
Yes.
Then on turn turn 4, you play another resource. It's a 3/3.
Yes.
Sweet. That's cool.
Yeah, and it does a lot of reverting back, but it gets back up. So this is one of those situations where, like, I think there was a flight troop with momentum gets really out of hand sometimes because you can't chump it. This guy, obviously, because it has crush, you just can't, like, throw a candlekin in front of it, and it can get out of hand. It's a very strong. Once again, I think this is a very strong limited mechanic. I don't think we're gonna see this in constructed play, maybe as much as we've seen Gladiator in constructed play, where I don't know the constructed scene very well. Have we seen a lot of Gladiator in constructed?
Not really. I'm trying to think if Mono Ruby even has any Gladiator troops. They play Froth Fang Cackler, but that's not really a Gladiator troop. So Gladiator is not really seeing any play outside of Torque, which is a champion. And one interesting thing about this that I don't think really applies to many cards, but because it says when you play a resource, like if you use something like resource optimization infusion device and pop it's activated, I don't think it's going to gain anything from that bonus resource because it's not an actual resource being played.
Yeah.
But it's Chlorophylla will still give it a pump, and a lot of other cards will still pump it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say Chlorophylla may be the exception to the rule. So maybe Winter Moon Momentum Chlorophylla decks may become very, very strong, where you're playing 2-3 extra resources a turn. Like, someone might actually try and run a 30 resource deck with a whole bunch of Chlorophyllias and a whole bunch of momentum, and see if you can get away with that type of play.
Yeah, and this also has a lot of application in PvE, just because there are equipment pieces for like Wild Root Dancer and Genesis Pool Nade that allow you to get additional resources and play additional resources every turn. So momentum could be a pretty fun little cheap effect to utilize in those types of decks.
Yep. All right. We'll see what some of the equipment has to offer. I did remember seeing some good things that go in the mill deck. We'll see if the terror. I forgot what the name of the deck was. Like the Berry Terror deck that is just running
Terror Mill.
Yeah, Terror Mill in Frostring Arena. If that actually comes, and if it makes it any faster and any more consistent.
Oh God, yeah. I don't know how much faster you can get, but maybe. It's a good deck.
Yeah, it is a good deck. It's really solid. It tends to rely on constants. So Burly Botanist and the Archon of Nuzan Elite just tear it apart.
True. Very true.
All right, we're moving right along to the spoilers of the week. I know Corey Buckhart released a whole bunch of cards today, but this is the card brought to us today from Kyle and Corey, and it is the Blight Wagon, a 3-cost dual threshold troop 2/3 with lethal. So decent body stats, especially since you're going to have to do a little bit more damage than just a cremate to remove it off the board. It is lethal, so you're going to be able to trade with it. But the activated ability is where I think you're going to be looking for the most. What do you think about it?
I mean, it's dedicated for a Deathcry deck. The hard part about it is, being willing to bury that top card of your deck. Do you want to bury it, and do you have a mechanic that is promoting you putting cards into your crypt? So maybe you're playing something like Rotten Rancor. The cost association with this though is going to be one of the more negative effects of actually utilizing it, because you're locking up resources. But it's so powerful that there's some Deathcry triggers that are so powerful that it's just worth being able to get them into the crypt right away and having that bonus value. So if you fill your deck with Promiscuous Succubus and like a bunch of other really powerful Deathcries that may also be more expensive to play right away, this could be pretty effective.
Yeah, I'm also thinking that since it is wild, you can start Fate Weaving cards to the top of your deck. If you Fate Weave Fate Weave Adventure, you're pretty much guaranteed. You have about a 70 to 80% chance of getting a troop. If they all have Deathcry triggers, short of you Blight Wagon, a Blight Wagon type of thing. You don't want a second Blight Wagon anyway, so you are removing it. That might be beneficial for you as well.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, a 2/3 body with lethal is really nice. Just having that extra HP is going to help quite a bit, and making this a more successful blocker in both limited and possibly constructed as well. Like the Artisanal Treesmith was also a popular choice for some time because it had that 2/3 body for 3. Although its effect at the start of each turn, it seems to be a little bit more powerful than this potentially. So I'll be interested to see what other Deathcry triggers we get in this set. That might make this power even higher value. And it has a Monty Python reference quote.
You gotta love that. All right, on to the remaining cards that were spoiled today. I was thinking to myself for a second, we don't have that much to talk about, and then they unloaded a handful of cards that are great in limited. Just like the Skylance Captain is an obvious bomb. Fuel Master, if it almost feels like Gladiator didn't work well in constructed, so we're gonna make Fuel Master and make it absolutely amazing, right? So Fuel Master, a 2-cost 2/2 Gladiator 1. That's already a 2/3 body blocking for 2. When another troop enters play under your control, it gets Gladiator 1. So
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, it
shows like a little candlekin in the photo too. That's cool.
Yeah, it's basically an Inspire troop, right? It's an Inspire Gladiator, but for everything.
For everything, exactly, yeah. Even Candlekin, that's maybe why they're showing Candlekin in the photo.
Yeah, I don't know if he's like tossing that red and green to a friend, or if he's trying to like I don't know. You almost want to like extend the art on the card sometimes just to see like what's happening in the story. I think Fuel Master might be one of those. If you love Candlekin, I love the Candlekin sitting on top of the Skylance Captain. Like, I don't know if you see him. He's just like standing there, like, I'm leading the way. I know where I'm going. And I think that just looks absolutely awesome right there.
Nice. Yeah, that card looks like just a really powerful rare. That's going to be fun to play with. I mean, of course, like every card that looks powerful, it has its major drawback of starting with 1 HP, but you could play it on 4 and then drop the shard after you play it to make it an immediate 3/2. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, God, it sucks to not be able to catch these updates earlier today because I was just so busy. But I did see the LIXIL card early
Hmm.
on today. That's pretty cool. Reminds me of an old MTG card that I remembered. I think someone pointed it out. One that was called Morphling, but I think there was another card called like Aetherling or something that I seem to have a memory of it being similar as well. But the cost difference of this card is the more negative part of it.
Hmm.
So it is a 5 cost, but then you have to pay and you have to save your resources to
Oh,
provide the temporary
oh,
buffs.
all right. So this is where I got caught the first time, and I'm sure, and I think you fell into the same trap. That's a box, not a circle.
Oh, it's a charge power. What? Okay.
And it's quick
That's
speed.
it's a quick speed charge power. Okay.
Yeah, so like, and this is the reason why, like, like when you said you didn't see all the cards, I'm like, great, I get to see like first unadulterated, unfiltered Nico's reaction to all of these
Yeah.
cards. Like,
Okay.
so what is your take on this? Like, all of a sudden, like knowing
Yeah,
this now.
now that it's a charge part. Well, I mean, so first thing first, I mean, I guess I would play this in like a Ruby Sapphire shell because you can play some powerful Ruby cards that are going to give you bonus charges.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just like try to stock up charges to make this my end game. You're also going to get charges at the start of your turn, so you know, ways to take extra turns or just ensure that you're going to survive a little bit longer, make it even more powerful. Yeah, that's pretty neat. I mean, most of the effects on this particular card, I would save it as a defense.
Mm-hmm.
The only downside I would say to this particular card is that um, it doesn't have invincible like the other Lixil does,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't have life drain like the um, did Lixil? No, Lixil never had that. But I mean, I would try to pair this with like more bomb stuff like a high infinitrix or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know how I'd quite play it, but it seems a lot more powerful that this is a charge power that you can save up for.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's difficult to remove. I mean, it doesn't have invincible as you mentioned, but if you know it's with spell shield, you're like, hey, I'm gonna target. I'm like, I'm gonna spell shield it. I'm gonna target it. Well, I have enough resources, or I have enough charge powers. I'm going to spell shield it again. So, Elixir Heartsworn. It is kind of strange to see such a famous necrotic as Sapphire, and story wise, I'm kind of wondering where everything's going with Lixil. It seems like Hogarth is free of Frostheart, and Lixil, according to the story, is free of Volsolov. But if Frostheart is broken, is it like truly broken, or is Lixil like the new Frostheart? Because like Frostheart exploded into Lixil, and that's what I'm not sure about. Like, is she like some sort of shared consciousness with her, Frostheart now?
I don't know. I mean, the art might allude to that a little bit too, because she is definitely like looking more frosty. But it's the one other thing I'm thinking about this now is they released Elite Hogarth in the last
Mm-hmm.
set, and Hogarth replaced your champion. That thematically makes a little bit more sense to me than the way that this card is giving you additional charge powers.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is if she transforms again, she'll become more like Hogarth, where she may end up becoming the champion that you're playing as her like her replacement power. So, but this is a cool little look. The lore of the sets is getting more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. It sounds like, and I think we talked about this in the past, but they're teasing out this storyline and through set 10.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'll be interested to see like where they go by set 10, and where the storyline ends. Who are you rooting for, Hogarth or Lixil? You want the Necrotic to win, or Do you want the evil Frostring Arena Master to?
Well, like so, like it. They have different goals, right? Like it's like story wise, thematically, going up against each other. LIXIL is there to stop Hogarth from completing the ritual at the promise of riches to become even more powerful than any other necrotic, right? Hogarth is like, I'm being enslaved by this gem. I just want to be free. So at the like I almost feel like at the end of this story both could actually happen. Like Hogarth is already free now, right? So there's no reason for Hogarth to be sticking around to fight this new version of LIXIL. And and I think in my mind Hogarth is escaping Frost Ring Arena while everyone is still battling up on top. Like everyone is just in this giant bloodbath, not knowing that the culmination of blood ritual is done. Right? So
yeah.
Like he could have just been like, "Hey, I promise you all of these riches and all of these grandiose things." I never really had any, real intent. I wasn't gonna really grant you those wishes. I'm out of here. Whoever wins, I don't care, and we'll see what happens next, type of thing.
Sounds like bad news. Sounds like the world of Entrath is going to change a lot.
Yeah, and
if they both get what they want.
All right, and the next card that I actually found very interesting, and I'm gonna have to like reposition this, and
it's in the background, huh?
Yeah, I need to move it up to the top. There we go. No, did I? Do I need to move it up more? I need to move it up more.
Yeah.
All right,
there you go. There you go. You got it.
All right, so Demented Whispers. The lore on this card makes me wonder. So. Her sight torn, her mind broken, all Voidstar had left were the voices in her head. So it looks like Voidstar somehow joined Cult of the Damned. Right? That's what that logo is on her head.
Ah, it's like the opposite of the Jack hat. It's the cloth blindfold.
Yeah, the cloth blindfold. And part of me is wondering, right, like the Kyodal are supposed to exist outside of time, like past, present, future, they all mean the same thing.
Yeah.
And there was an art teased by Corey that had Voidstar looking into the librarian's books.
Oh, I see.
And Voidstar going like absolutely crazy.
Uh-oh.
Right, so what happens when a Kyodal who can exist outside of time can possess all knowledge outside of time? Like what does that do to a Kyodal? Like, does she go crazy, or does he like? I think Voidstar's a female, right? Like, so does she like all of a sudden just go absolutely crazy? Does she join and become a Chaos Touched? What's going on here in terms of the story? I mean, aside from the card being absolutely bonkers, right? Like, bury 3 cards. Like, well, no, like the actual game text. Bury 3 cards, discard a card, escalation. Like, yeah, like.
And are those both bolded? They look like they're both bolded.
They're both bolded. So if you get Demented Whispers turn 2, turn 3, your opponent discarded 3 cards and buried 6.
Whoa! All right. Wait. Discard 3.
Oh, no, bury 3, discarded total. So if it's Demented Whispers turn 2 and turn 3, they bury 9 cards and discard 2 cards, right? Because it's escalation.
Yeah. 9 and 2. Oh wait.
No.
Yeah, 9 and 2. You're right.
Yeah.
So it'd be 3 and 1, then 6 and 2.
Yeah.
I mean, 9 and 3. 9 and 3, right?
Yeah, 9 and 3 is the total. I can like. Okay, I gotta apologize to my daughter. Simple math is hard. Or with 3 plus 6.
When you're dealing with 2 different addition problems at the same time, you got to get out the calculator. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a pretty cool escalation card. Maybe I'm forgetting of the templating of escalation, but usually is escalation at the top of the card or at the bottom?
They actually you do it and then you escalate the card. right? So
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
think that's why it's worded that way. It's kind of like how Fate Weave was, where the order like Fate Weave, draw a card versus draw a card, Fate Weave.
Got
Like
it.
they're making
So it's,
sure it makes sense now.
if you counter it, then it's not going to escalate or anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
All right, so I already picked my favorites. I think Changeling Cuties. If Bluebell Dryad wasn't high on your priority in a puff deck, I don't know how Changeling Cuties is not even higher. Same cost. Yes, it is dual threshold, but it's not a one shot, and it has
And it has 3 defense. Yeah.
one
So
additional
yeah, it's
health.
a little better, and it has way more awesome art. And those Fays. It's like what, a bikini party in the Fey encampment. I don't know why they're wearing bikinis in an encampment, but maybe there's water nearby. It's all good. It's a Pippet party. So
It is a Pippet party. I think they had too many Shroomkin join that party, both as guests and as perhaps. You know where I'm going with this. I don't have to finish that.
I'll keep
All
it a
right.
family show.
Yeah, we'll keep it a family show. All right. Moving along, what we have the snow puffin. So we finally have a bird with flight. Like, it looks like
1/4 too. That's pretty good stat for a 3 cost, or you can use a frost form.
yeah. So it's either a 1-cost 1/1 that has flight that you can fate weave to make it a 2/2 and steadfast, or it's a 3-cost 1/4, and we all know that if you have the snow puffin, you're going to be running it with puff, and it's going to be able to revert back and get back the basic frost form. Oh wait, it's when you fate. Oh wait, I thought there was a 1-shot on it. To
No,
fate weave.
that Fate Weave is just for the turn, but you can do multiple Fate Weaves in a turn and get it stats up. It's not once per turn, so that's kind of nice too.
All right, so you can like weave into nothing, or to like block, or
You can like double guidance and then use like the Fate Weave Champion's charge power to make it like a 4/4 or a 4/7. It's nice. It's a good complement to the Widow that I really like to play from Sapphire. So the Widow has a better come into play effect, but this one has flight. So it's nice to have some 1-cost frost form troops. Anyway, I think it'll be played quite a bit in Limited.
Yep. All right. Moving right along, we have the Putrid Porker. It's a 5-cost 5/5 Death Cry. Put a random card from your crypt into your hand, and it is an undead plant beast.
Random card from your crypt into your hand. That could be pretty good. It's interesting. If you have multiple ways to trigger that Death Cry, and you're playing a Death Cry heavy deck, that can give you some sort of like ability to just continually cycle things.
All right, so like a ruling question for you: if you Blight Wagon on turn 4, and you Blight Wagon the Putrid Porker,
And it's your only troop in the crypt.
it's the only troop in the crypt. That
You get it back.
You just immediately draw it, right?
Yep. Because Death Cry triggers once it goes to the crypt, so it'll be in the crypt, and then you get it back. Yeah.
Very, very nice. So it's almost like 2 to draw that card if that is your card, or another card if you have some other card in the crypt as well. And we'll have to see. I think there's enough Deathcry cards out there. I think as more Deathcry cards are released, Lord Blightbark might actually go up in value with what we've seen with the Blight Wagon and Putrid Porker.
Yeah, and he's already priced pretty high, but he's a great legendary. Still missing one, so I hope I can get one through drafting. But yeah, Lord Blightbark is going to see probably a lot more play. He is, excuse me, very susceptible to removal in Constructed, but people that play Constructed often are greedy about how they design their decks, so not everyone has spot removal by turn 2 to deal with him before you start getting value from him.
Yeah. All right. Finally, moving on to Runic Passion. Runic Passion, we are going to be seeing some Runic cards. This says draw 2 cards. Those cards get at the end of the turn. If this is in your hand, discard this. So it's like the Impulse card except Runic.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that's really nice because the first 2 cards you might not have the resources to spend on it, but by the time it triggers off of a resource that you draw, hopefully those next 2 cards that you draw on top of that resource are going to be something that you can throw down that turn. So it really makes sense in a deck that has a low curve or is trying to be extremely aggressive.
Yeah, definitely. If you're just trying to like cycle through, if for some reason you're just digging for a very specific card, that will definitely help as well. I'm trying to imagine if I would play it in Constructed. I think in Limited, the fact that it's Runic makes it significantly better than Impulse for the reasons you mentioned, where you're spending resources and you may not be able to have the resources available to play the cards you just played.
Yeah, there may be a new tech for a Swamp Butt type of deck. I really like thinking about Swamp Butt being a great deck, but then every time I think about how good that deck can be, it's limited by the fact that you only get to use a charge power once per turn.
Yeah, like at some point you're just like, I hope I have 2 arena regulars in play, and like
yeah.
And all I can do is just gain so many charges. I don't know, maybe there will be a LIXIL Heartswarm Swamp Butt deck, right? Like,
oh, hey, that's a good idea.
With arena regulars.
Yeah. Do you know? So, I guess I can ask you this, and you may or may not know the answer to it. But for a card like LIXIL that has this charge power, can you only use each ability once per turn?
I don't think I actually got to play with this LIXIL, but as a rules question, I would assume if you have the charges, you should be able to just continually use it. I mean, the LIXIL +2, -2 this turn, that screams to me to be able to be used twice in a turn. So give a troop flight, give LIXIL flight, give it +4, -4, so it's an 8/1, and then swing for 8.
Yeah, I mean, the way that this functions as a quick charge power just seems to have a lot of differences to it than the basic ones that we have on champions, and also the basic one that we got onto the 6-cost Eternal guy that got charges in a charge power from set 1 or 2. I can't remember its name, but internal something. Anyway. It's in the. It's also in the Frostring Arena deck that gains charges. Anyway, it can only use its charge power once per turn, but maybe because these are quick, it has different ruling and how often you can utilize it. Yeah, I'll be interested to see how that functions. But being able to use more things with your charge powers. Or various different ways to use charges will be interesting to see how that's played out in this set, given some of the cards we're seeing.
Yeah, like Scamander is saying that your charge powers are once per turn, even on troops. But the thing is, this isn't a charge power. Like Eternal Drifter.
Yeah, it's a charge ability.
It's right. It's an actual. Like it takes the charge ability from a champion, right? Like it gets a random champion's ability, and the random champion's ability I thought was once per turn basic.
Yeah, basic once per turn. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, the internal, yeah, maybe it is Bastion. Yeah, it's a payment ability. It uses charges as a resource. Yeah, okay. So I think Zophie's spot on with that. It's just a payment power. So. Yeah, you should be able to pump your LIXIL up until you give it negative defense, if you wanted to, just like you could with the Wendigo from set 1 or 2, Mistborn Wendigo.
All right, so yeah, we'll see how strong LIXIL can get. She definitely does look like I'm not sure. Like I look at her and for me, like at a 5 cost, I want I want some sort of come into play ability on my
Yeah,
legendaries to really
yeah.
like shake the table, shake the board, and be like, you like I would be more afraid of a Crocosaur on turn 5 than Lixil
Or
on
a
turn 5.
Reese popping up on turn 5 or something
Yeah.
like that. Anyway, yeah, I totally agree with that too. That, she does look strong on paper, but because she has, the ability to only do this, make value for you basically the next turn, is going to speak to whether or not she's played a lot. The only benefit that, you can utilize her spell shield at any time, so you could save her the turn she comes into play, and you could save her the opposing turn that your opposing champion may try to kill it. So there is value in being able to utilize the spell shield right away.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so far those are all of the cards we have from the next set. Um, I'm sure now that spoiler season is upon us, we'll be able to come back every week, talk about more cards, talk about even the story behind the upcoming set. And so far, it looks like every day or every other day, they've been releasing some sort of story that continues on from where we previously left off. So we have Lixil getting defeated by Hogarth, not getting killed, but getting defeated by Hogarth, and then getting remade into her new form. But it hasn't even touched what's actually happening at the Frost Ring Arena level. And I know Corey had mentioned that there is a death of a beloved character in this set.
A beloved character. I'm going with Princess Corey on this one.
You think Princess Corey is
No.
not going to come
No.
out?
I have no idea. Maybe Broski Buck or something. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens in terms of the characters being lost. What are the warring factions that probably make it to set 8? Like, the Merry Caravan, the Candlekin, the what's the other, the Blight Bark. We also know of the Gladiators, right? The Pack.
Yeah, the pack.
And Cult of the Damned. So a character from one of those sets, maybe even two of those groups, and maybe lost. We'll see what happens for all of you lore guys out there.
We will see. I'm interested to see where the story goes. We'll find out more. We'll get more cards to look at. Maybe some more of those fays from the Merry Caravan that are gonna go swimming. We'll see.
I don't know. It's the Frost Ring Arena. I don't know why they.
Well, the Frost Ring is probably, it has its season, so maybe it's summer Frost Ring.
Yeah, I have to be careful. Like I didn't think I have to be careful drafting with my daughters around. I'm like, okay, I can't draft Sapphire Wild.
I mean, there's a lot of Pipit smoke going on around there. You can't wear too many clothing. Like, it's just, you're not going to feel good. So you have to keep it a little scantily.
All right. Well, yeah, it's, I don't, like, part of me was looking at that particular card and was just like, I do know that they're trying to break into Japan. So cat ears, cat ears and the clothes, maybe it's fan service. I don't know.
If that gets PS4 players from Japan to enter drafts, then I want to see way more of those cards.
Whatever sells cards, right? At the end of the day.
True. Very true.
All right. Like Sophie is saying, it gets hot in the jungle. They're at Frost Ring Arena. I understand. They're in the cold north. All right. Well, from all of us at Cornerstone and from me and Nico, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Once again, what was the digit in pi that I said? Like what? Was it the
seventh digit in pi? And this isn't pumpkin pie. This isn't the 7th slice in pumpkin pie.
No, it's not the it's
or
not
apple pie.
Yeah, no, it's even though we may be enjoying some pie in the coming weeks. If you're in Canada, Thanksgiving already passed. If you're in Canada, that's right. Well, happy late Canadian Thanksgiving, and from all of us here, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
See you guys.